minor attributes.
Plus those are rolling completely random. Like right now you can only get a striker with a weapon damage core. If it can roll with an armor core, then this isn't really an issue. But as it seems right now that if Striker still drops with the red core, there's going to be no way to get a prototype piece with an armor core because you can't recalibrate it. So good luck with your Striker builds that are going to be guaranteed to have 4 red cores. I'm sorry, that's just going to be the way it is from now on if you want to use prototype gear. Maybe that's intentional, maybe it's not, maybe I just didn't think about that. It might be pretty rough getting the piece they want if everything's just rolling random. Regardless, because you can't recalibrate, you're going to need your striker pieces in order to balance your crit correctly. You're going to need a crit damage and a crit chance, pretty much guaranteed of every single scenario. Right now, the way the game is, in theory, maybe people do keep 2 of every striker piece. But in theory, you can keep your pieces so that you have your max crit roll and you can recalibrate it to crit damage if you need to balance your crit to that level. That's not going to be possible if you're running all prototype gear. You're going to have another piece with that roll on it in your stash. This is going to make it more difficult to change pieces on the fly and tune-up builds, especially since
vital signs critical.
This is also going to make it harder if you get a prototype weapon. You're going to want to run that weapon because it's going to have higher rolls than anything else that you got. So this weapon, it's still probably going to be better than what you got. So you're probably going to want to use it. It's going to be really hard to get the weapon you want with the exact rolls that you want in this new system, especially with weapons in this system. There's going to be no way to recalibrate to change the talent on your weapons. Like, what is that?
Serious
All
trauma
these
detected.
backpacks and chest pieces that have talents on them. Yikes. Like, the amount of stash space that we need has just increased exponentially. People would want to engage.
You don't leave that many people guarding an empty building.
Like a huge issue.
Strikers are here for something.
Recent aerial footage shows some chemical spillage on the east side and some Rikers activity on the north.
I'd say
this may be related to Keener's bioweapons.
Update is extremely exciting.
Scope them both. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Taking bold moves with this. And we'll try it in the PTS and see how it actually works. But there are also major concerns that I have. And if it looks like how it's going to turn out, I don't know if I'm going to be this around a prototype here that much, if we're being honest. So,
Aerosol chemical
that's all I got
equipment
for this one.
detected.
Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for learning with us. Until next time, take care.
I can guarantee that you've never seen anything like this, especially being given away the best part of the product. All created titles at the moment. That is the incentive behind it. The first signature out of the box.
Exothermic reaction initiated. Aerosol chemicals destroyed.
Welcome to Battleground Stories. This is where war,
Chemical pressure released.
and unsettling stories. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Thank you for your support. Now, let's begin. They're still whispering about Braxton County up in them mountains. Folks go quiet when the fog of October blows thick as wool. They talk of 3 families swept under in 4 nights. 6 in October 1943. A lieutenant in the 83rd Division of Infantry, stationed at Camp Atterbury. I had a college education. I had good boots. I had no experience with whatever walks 2 legs in one phase, 4 in another. I am Aurelius Caraway, and if you don't think Aurelius is a phony name for a phony story, well, you don't know a thing about West Virginia Caraways. We name our sons in a way that defies oblivion. We got pulled off regular rotation on a Tuesday. No warning. Just a staff car.
Looks like you're running a
and
real
captain
quality
with eyes that
operation
didn't see
here, Travis.
paperwork. You wish he had some. He told us
Hate to break in on this little party, but I finished some more
He
analysis
told
of
us to
Isaac's
bring
data from
weapons
the Wall
and
Street
keep our
compound.
mouths shut.
It's not good.
He told
Use
us the
cases
civilian
include
authorities
aerosol
would
dispersal
request
mechanisms
military
and cultures
assistance
mixtures
in a
of
wildlife
viruses.
situation that was escalating fast.
Dragov's helping Keener with his bioweapon.
Wildlife
We need to shut this whole
That's
operation
what he
down.
called it. 3 farms.
Agents,
12
secure
dead.
the north side of that
Women,
pier.
Men,
Any
children,
supplies the Rikers were prepping to
dogs
send
torn in
need to
half
go up in
and left
smoke.
in the yard like
Do not,
warnings.
I repeat,
Doors
do
ripped
not let
off
the
hinges
Rikers
from
get
the
those
outside.
supplies off the dock.
Blood on walls that made patterns the sheriff couldn't describe over the phone. In every single scene had the same detail nobody wanted to say out loud. Tracks that started on 2 legs and ended on 4. They said 4 of us. Small team, quiet team. The kind of team that writes reports nobody reads because nobody wants to know what's in them. Sergeant Vermont Sage was our tracker. 40 years old, lean as a fence post, face like a hatchet that had seen too many trees. He'd grown up hunting these mountains before the army taught him to hunt men. He didn't talk much. When he did, people wrote it down. He had a way of looking at ground that made the dirt nervous. Scout Juniper Duvall was 19, scared of everything except admitting he was scared. Farm boy from Kentucky with eyes like a hawk and hands that never stopped moving. He could spot movement at 300 yards and tell you if it was deer, dog, or something his grandma used to tell stories about around the stove. Kid had instinct, the kind you can't teach. Radio man Cedar Morello was the quiet one. Not shy quiet, thick and quiet.
Fuel pump detected.
Brooklyn boy who'd never seen a mountain until the army showed him several. He kept our lifeline to base camp running no matter what. And he had this habit of humming old Italian songs his mother taught him.
I like the way you think, Agent. When that barge
You
is
think
flooded
it would
with
be
fuel,
annoying.
it'll be gone in
It
no
wasn't.
time.
It was the sound of normal holding on by its fingernails. And me, I was the one who had to make sense of whatever we found and write it down in a way that kept us out of the asylum. We drove into Braxton County at dawn. Fog sat in the valleys like something that had died there and decided to stay. The trees were turning, all that mountain fire, red, orange, gold. But the color felt wrong, too bright against the gray, like a warning painted by something that wanted you to see it coming. The sheriff met us at the edge of town. His name was Talbot, and he looked like a man who'd stopped sleeping 3 days ago and didn't plan to start again. He had a double-barreled shotgun in his truck and a crucifix hanging from his rear-view mirror that hadn't been there when he bought the vehicle. "You boys Army?" he asked, even though our uniforms answered for us. "Yes, sir," I said. "We're here to assess the situation." He laughed. It was not a happy sound. Assess. That's a clean word for a dirty thing. He spat tobacco juice into the dirt. "You want to assess? I'll show you what needs assessment." He drove us up a logging road that turned into a dirt path that turned into 2 ruts with grass growing between them. The first farm sat in a clearing that felt too open, like the trees had backed away on purpose. The house was small, white paint peeling, porch sagging.
Solid work there,
Clothesline
Agent.
still had
We
shirts
just put a
hanging
large
on it,
dent in Keener's
moving in the
bioweapon
breeze
production.
like ghosts
He may
practicing
believe he's
how to
got this
wave.
wrapped up,
The front door
but
was
he's got
gone,
another thing
not
coming.
open.
I'm not so
Gone.
sure. He's had plenty of
Splinters
time
on
to
the
work on
porch,
this.
hinges
We
torn
may need some
clean out of
outside
the
help,
frame.
but for now, this
The
is a big
Harpers,
win for us.
Sheriff Talbot said. Ed, Mary, and their 2 girls,
Received.
8 and 11. His voice went flat. The kind of flat that means a man has used up all his feeling and now he's just reporting. Found them Thursday morning when Ed didn't show up to work the timber crew. We went inside. I won't give you all the details. Some things you don't put in people's heads, because once they're there, they stay. But I'll tell you this, the walls told a story. The blood patterns said running, said cornered, said fighting back. The furniture was shredded, not knocked over, shredded. Like something with claws had gotten frustrated with the world being solid. Vermont Sage crouched by the doorframe. He ran his fingers along gouge marks in the wood. Deep, parallel, 4 lines. Big, he said. Bear? I asked, even though I knew better. He shook his head. Wrong spacing, wrong depth. Bears don't do doors like this. They push, they don't tear. Juniper stood in the center of the room with his rifle held too tight and his face too pale. Sir, he said quietly. Sir, there's tracks. We followed him to the back door. The ground there was soft from recent rain, and whatever had left the tracks hadn't cared about hiding them. They started at the tree line, clear as day. 4 paws, big paws, wolf-sized, maybe bigger. The tracks came toward the house in an easy lope. Then, 3 feet from the door, they changed. The paws became feet, not clean. Not like a man stepped into the tracks. The shape shifted in the mud itself. Toes spread. Pads became heel and ball. The stride widened, and the prints that went up the porch steps were long and narrow and had 5 toes with claws that dug in deep. Vermont Sage didn't touch them. He just stared. Cedar crossed himself. Juniper made a sound in his throat like he wanted to ask a question, but his mouth had forgotten how. I took out my notebook and sketched them. My hand shook. I told myself it was the cold. Second farm's a mile west, the sheriff said. Same thing. Third farm's 2 miles past that. Same thing again. He looked at me with eyes that had given up on finding answers that made sense. You're gonna tell me this is a wildlife situation, Lieutenant? I didn't answer. I couldn't, because I'd been taught to assess situations based on facts and evidence and training. And everything I'd been taught said what I was looking at couldn't exist. But my eyes said it did. And between training and eyes have a way of winning arguments. We set up base camp in an old ranger station a half mile from the 3rd farm. It was just a shack with a stone fireplace and windows someone had boarded up years ago and never unboarded. We cleared out mouse nests, broke up a wasp nest in the corner, and set our gear in a way that said we were professionals. Knew what we were doing. We were lying to ourselves. But sometimes lying to yourself is how you get through the day. Sage went out to scout the area before dark. He took Juniper with him. I stayed with Cedar to set up the radio and go through the maps. The maps were old, hand-drawn, full of gaps. Braxton County was big country, lots of hollows, lots of places things could hide if they wanted to. You believe this, sir? Cedar asked while he strung the antenna wire. Believe what? That something's out there doing this. I thought about the tracks. I thought about the door torn off its hinges. I thought about the scratch marks that went 8 feet up a wall where something had stood on 2 legs and reached. I believe something happened, I said. What that something is, I don't know yet. Cedar nodded. He went back to humming. Italian. Soft. Sad. The kind of song you sing when you're trying to remember home is still real. Sage and Juniper came back an hour before dark. Sage's face was set. Juniper's face was green. We found a trail, Sage said. Runs through all 3 farms. Starts up in the high timber and comes down through the hollows like it's making rounds. 1 animal. 1 set of tracks, but he stopped.
Reinforcements.
He pulled out a small cloth bag and dumped something on the table. Fur. Gray and black, of course. Found this caught on a fence post between farms 2 and 3. I touched it. It felt wrong. Too thick. Too wiry. Like hair that had forgotten how to be soyed wolf. I asked. No wolf I've ever seen. Sage put the fur back in the bag. Wolves don't make rounds. They range. They hunt. saying. Animals don't arrange bodies. They eat them. Whatever did this left them for someone to find. The room went quiet. Outside, the sun dropped behind the ridge and the temperature dropped with it. Fog started to creep up from the hollow. Through the gaps in the boarded windows, the woods turned from gray to black. Keep watch tonight, I said. 2-hour shifts, eyes on the tree line. Anything moves, we wake everyone. You think it'll come here? Juniper asked. I think it knows we're here, Sage said. And I think it doesn't care. That first night was long. I took the first watch with Sage.
Incoming hostiles
We sat
detected.
by the window with the boards cracked just enough to see through. The moon was 3 days from full, fat and yellow, sitting on the ridge like it was too tired to climb higher. The woods were loud at first. Normal loud. Crickets. An owl. Somewhere far off, a fox barked. Then, around midnight, the noise stopped. Not gradually, all at once. Like someone had thrown a switch and turned off the forest. Sage's hand went to his rifle. I felt my heartbeat in my teeth. We waited. The silence pressed against the walls. It had weight. It had intent. Then from the hollow below us came a sound, low, rhythmic. Not quite a growl, not quite a hum. 3 beats. Pause. 2 beats. Over and over. What is that? I whispered. Sage didn't answer. His jaw was set. His eyes were locked on the tree line. The sound moved. It circled the ranger station slow, like something taking inventory. It stopped at each corner, at each window. The boards creaked like they were being tested from the outside. Then I saw it, just for a second. A shape against the moonlight. Tall. Too tall. Shoulders wrong. It moved past a gap in the trees, and I couldn't tell if it was walking or flowing. It paused, turned its head toward the station. Even through the crack in the boards, I felt it looking at me. The eyes were yellow, dull, old, like brass left in the rain. Then it was gone. The sound stopped. The forest started up again. Crickets first, then the owl, then the fox, farther away now, like it had decided to be somewhere else. Sage let out a breath. You see it? Yeah. What'd you see? I tried to put it into words. I couldn't. Something that doesn't have a name in the manual. He nodded. We're going to need silver. What? Silver. He said again, flat as fact. Old stories say it works. And right now, old stories are all we got. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him we were soldiers, not superstitious farmers. But I'd seen the eyes. I'd heard the sound. And somewhere deep in my bones, in a place older than training, I knew he was right. Where do we get silver? I asked. There's a church in town, old one. They'll have communion sets, candlesticks. We borrow them. We don't ask. We just borrow. That's theft. That's staying alive.
Unlocked.
I looked at him. He looked back. Neither of us blinked. Tomorrow, I said. We go at first light. He nodded. We sat in silence. We watched the woods. The moon climbed higher. The fog rolled in thick. And somewhere out in the dark, something walked a pattern only it understood. When I finally lay down to sleep, I kept my boots on. I kept my rifle close. I kept thinking about those tracks that changed shape in the mud. About doors torn off hinges. About eyes that looked at me like they were deciding whether I was worth the effort. And I thought about Vermont Sage's voice, flat and certain. We're going to need silver. I didn't sleep much. None of us did. The forest kept making small sounds that could have been wind, or could have been something else. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw those yellow eyes staring back. 3 days from a full moon. That's what Sage had said. I wondered what would happen when the moon got all the way full. I wondered if we'd still be here to find out. But something told me we didn't have a choice. Whatever walked these ridges had picked its territory. And now we were in it. The watch changed. Cedar took over with Juniper. I lay on my bedroll and stared at the ceiling. homes never lock their doors. They trust God and neighbors in that order. Inside smelled like old hymnals and wood polish. Sage went straight to the altar. He moved like a man who'd done this before, though I didn't ask when or why. He found a silver communion set in a cabinet. Chalice, plate, 2 candlesticks. He tested each one with his knife, scraping gently. The metal showed true underneath the tarnish. "This'll do," he said. "We're really doing this?" He looked at me with those hatchet eyes. "You saw it, Lieutenant. You saw what I saw. So yes,
Contaminated area.
we're really doing this."
I haven't been able to contact the JTF at the cancel since we heard about the
As I
red
turned
smoke.
to
We're
leave,
pretty sure it's
an
another
old
one of
woman
Keener's
appeared in the
bioweapon
doorway.
attacks.
She
We
was
need
small,
you to
thin,
secure any survivors
dressed
and
in
find
black
out how
like
the
she'd been
contagion is
widowed by
released.
the world itself. Her eyes were sharp as cut glass. "You taking those to the ridge?" she asked. We froze. She smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Good. Should have been done 3 nights ago. Saved the harbors. Would have saved the bishops. Maybe would
Keep
have
away from
saved
the
the
smoke.
Kleins." She stepped closer. My grandmother told me stories. Her grandmother told her. "There's things in these mountains older than the coal, older than the trees. Most times they sleep."
Eclipse virus detected.
She trailed off. "You kill it proper. You kill it with silver, and you burn what's left. You don't bury it. You don't study it. You burn it until there's nothing but ash, and you scatter that ash in running water." "Ma'am," I started. "Don't ma'am me, soldier. I was here when they found the
Eclipse
Johnsons
virus
in 89.
detected.
Same thing, same tracks. They said wild dogs then, too. My grandmother said different. Said it was the moon fever. Said it takes a man, breaks him, and puts him back together wrong. And once he's back together, he's hungry. Not for food, for what he used to be. And he'll kill, trying to
Ventilation system
remember."
activated.
Sage's face was stone.
Take out those
How do we
cleaners
stop it?
before they get to dam.
Silver through the heart or the head. Fire after. And you pray it doesn't take one of you before you would take it. She stepped aside. "Go on. You're wasting daylight. The moon's getting back." We left. We didn't run. We didn't walk slow, either. Back at the station, Cedar had made coffee on a tiny camping stove. It tasted like dirt and salvation. We melted down one of the candlesticks using the stove and a tin cup. The silver went liquid, bright. We poured it in a old sage-fashioned clay and a bullet casing. It wasn't great, but we made 3 silver-tipped rounds and a crude knife blade we hafted to a bayonet handle with wire and went home. "This is insane," Juniper said, watching us work. But he didn't stop us. And when Sage handed him one of the rounds, he loaded it into his rifle like it was a prayer made of metal. He spent the afternoon napping in that. Sage was right. The 3 farms formed a rough triangle. The tracks moved between them in a circuit. Always starting high in the timber. Always coming down through the same draws and hollows. Always returning to the ridge above the 3rd farm before dawn. "It's got a den," Sage said, pointing to the map. "Up here. In the old growth timber where nobody goes." "We go," I said. "Sir," Juniper's voice cracked. "Sir, that's a bad idea." "All our ideas are bad," Cedar said quietly. "This one's just more honest about it." We geared up. Rifles, silver rounds, the makeshift blade, canteens, compass, a flare gun in case we needed extraction, class price. We moved out at 1400 hours. 4 men walking into timber that got darker as we climbed. The fog followed us up.
I'll tell the cleanup crew to bring Dan back to
The trail was
Haven.
there.
For now,
Sage found
get
it
to the
easy.
courtyard and
Tracks in
find
the
that
soft
crate.
earth, broken branches, and something else. Scratches on trees. Eye scratches. 7,
Unknown biological
8 feet out.
compound detected.
Deep gouges that wept sap.
Stay focused, Agent. The
Marking
crate should be close.
territory, Sage said. "We're counting," Cedar muttered. "Counting what?" "Us." The trees closed in. The canopy turned the afternoon into twilight. Birds went quiet. The only sound was our boots.
Eclipse virus detected.
The weight of being watched. You know that feeling. It's not paranoia when the
Clancy's location
leading
pinned
out
down.
of the cave and
The
down the
cleanup crew
mountain.
is ready to
Recent.
move.
Maybe
They'll
an
head in
hour
as soon as the
old.
castle is
He's
secure.
hunting, he whispered.
Isaac's
We
pulling
approached
data from the
cave
security
with our
systems.
rifles
We
up
might be able to
and
construct
our
an echo and
hearts
find out what
somewhere in
happened
our
here.
throats.
This may
The
take a
entrance
while.
was low. We'd have to crouch
We've
to
got
enter.
cleaner reinforcements
Every
incoming.
instinct
Find a
screamed
good
not
spot
to.
and finish them off.
We did it anyway, because that's what soldiers do. We do the thing that screams no until it screams something else. Inside was dark. We used red lens flashlights. The beam cut through the black. It showed us things we didn't want to see. Bones. Not animal bones. Some were, sure. Deer. Dogs. But others were different. Smaller. The kind that belonged to children. They were arranged, not scattered. Arranged in neat little piles against the wall, like someone was keeping count. Jesus. Juniper breathed. On the far wall, scratches. The same symbol we'd seen on the trees. A circle with a slash. And beneath it, letters. Crude. Carved with claws. They spelled hungry. Cedar's hand shook on his rifle.
Echo
It can write.
reconstructed.
It
It
remembers.
worked. That
Sage
echo
said
should
softly.
hopefully give us the intel
Whatever
we
it
need.
is, part of it still remembers being human. In the corner, we found clothes. Old, torn, a work shirt, overalls, boots that had been ripped open from the inside,
You gotta be
and a
kidding!
wallet.
I haven't
We
had this
didn't want to
stuff
open
in
it.
years.
We opened it anyway.
The rest of us.
Inside was a driver's license.
What else is in here?
Raymond Klein,
What the hell?
born 1891, Braxton County.
What
The photo showed a thin man with hard eyes and a harder smile. Klein, I said. That was the third family. Sage checked the dates on
That
the license.
smoke?
He'd be
They didn't
52
stand a
now,
chance.
if he's still alive.
City
He
Hall
is.
was just the beginning.
Cedar said.
He's fucking
We
with
looked
us.
at him. He
No.
pointed at the bones.
He's showing us how
None of
far
these
he's
are
willing
adult
to
male.
go. Proving
He's not
he's got
dead.
more payloads
He's
of his
changed.
bioweapon at his
The
disposal, and
pieces
the
fell
division
together
is
like a puzzle.
powerless to
Nobody
stop
wanted
him.
to finish. Raymond Klein.
There's still time to stop
The
him,
husband
Bane.
and father
There
from the
has to
third
be.
farm. Whatever walked these ridges
Hostiles.
wasn't
Bounty
hunting his
location
family.
nearby.
It was his family.
Leaving
And something had
contaminated
twisted him
area.
into the thing that killed them. We heard it before we saw it. That sound. 3 beats. Pause. 2 beats. Coming up the trail behind us. Fast. Out.
You have left.
Sage barked. Now. We scrambled toward the entrance. The sound got closer. We could hear claws on stone. We could hear breathing. Not human breathing. The kind that has too much
Incoming
blood
backup
behind it.
request.
We burst out of the cave into the
Safe
faint
area
light.
detected.
The thing was there. 50 yards down the trail. Standing. It was tall. Taller than a man should be. Shoulders hunched. Arms too long. Legs bent wrong at the knee. Fur covered its torso in patches. Gray and black. The skin between the patches was pale and scarred. His
Safe area
face was the
entered.
worst part. Almost human. But the jaw was too long. The teeth were too many. The eyes were yellow and old, and looking at us like we were problems that needed solving. Silver, I said. My voice came out wrong, too high. Use the silver. Juniper raised his rifle. The thing tilted its head. It smiled. That's what broke me. The smile. Because it was Raymond Klein's smile. I could see it in the shape of the mouth. Could see the man underneath the monster. And the man was gone, but the memory of him was still there. Trapped inside something that had eaten him from the inside out. Juniper fired. The round hit the thing in the shoulder. It sparked. Smoke rose from the wound. The thing shrieked. Not pain. Rage. It dropped to all fours and charged. We ran. Training says stand and fight. Instinct says run and live another second. We chose instinct. The thing crashed through the brush behind us like a truck with teeth. We hit the main trail and ran downhill because downhill is faster, and faster might mean alive. Cedar went down, tripped on a root. The thing was on him in a heartbeat. It grabbed his leg and pulled him back. Cedar screamed. He twisted. He brought his rifle around and jammed the silver bayonet into the thing's forearm. Smoke. Sizzle. The smell of burning hair and meat. The thing released him and howled. We grabbed Cedar and hauled him up. His leg was torn, deep gashes. Blood soaked his pant leg black. Go, he gasped. Go, I can move. We moved. The thing followed the slower Silver hurt it, really hurt it. The pace and didn't charge again. It stalked us. It wanted us to know it was still there, still coming, still hungry. We made it to the ranger station as the sun touched the ridge. We barricaded the door with everything we had. Furniture, gear, the old iron stove we dragged across the floor. We tended Cedar's leg. The wounds were bad, but not fatal. Yet. We wrapped them tight. We gave him water and morphine from the med kit. He hummed while we worked. Italian. Sad. His mother's song. It's Klein, I said to Sage while we reinforced the windows. Raymond Klein. He's the thing. Was Klein, Sage corrected. Whatever he is now, he's not that man anymore. But he remembers. He wrote on the wall. He knows he's hungry. Knowing doesn't make him human. It makes him worse. Sage hammered a board across the window. Because he understands what he's doing, and he does it anyway. Night fell like a hammer. The moon rose. 2 days from full now. Fat and bright and cold. The thing came with it. We heard it circle the station. Heard it test the boards. Heard it scratch at the door like a dog that wanted in. And then it spoke. Hungry, it said. The voice was gravel and rust. Human words shaped by something that had forgotten how to be human. So hungry, Juniper whimpered. Cedar crossed himself. Sage and I locked eyes. We didn't need to say it. We both knew. Tomorrow was the full moon. And if tonight was this bad, tomorrow would be worse. The thing scratched and circled and spoke its single word until dawn. When the sun finally crawled up over the ridge, the scratching stopped. The voice went quiet. We heard it move off into the timber, back to its dead, back to its bones, its memories, and its hunger that would never be full. We didn't sleep. We sat with our rifles and our silver rounds, and our fear that had worn through bravado and was now just naked and honest. Cedar's leg had stopped bleeding, but it was hot to the touch. Infection or something worse. Juniper stared at the walls and didn't blink. Sage cleaned his weapons with hands that were steady because his hands remembered how to be useful even when his mind didn't. Tonight's the full moon, I said. Nobody answered. They didn't need to. We all knew what that meant. Whatever leash had been on Raymond Klein, whatever small part of him that still said, wait, or stop, or careful, that leash was about to break. And when it did, he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't circle. He would come through these walls like they were paper, and he would kill us all. Because that's what the full moon does to things that are already broken. We need a plan, Sage said. We have silver, Juniper offered weakly. 3 rounds of the blade. Against that thing, that's not a plan. That's a prayer. Then what? I asked. Sage looked at me. His face was stone, but his eyes were tired. We don't wait for it to come here. We go back to the dead. We trap it. We kill it in the place that feels safe. Because that's the only advantage we're going to get. That's suicide. Staying here's suicide too. At least this way, we choose the ground. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say we wait for extraction, we call for backup, we let someone else deal with this. But the radio had been spotty all night. And even if we got through, what would we say? Send help. There's a werewolf. They'd send us to the hospital, not the thing. We were alone. We'd been alone since we drove up that mountain. The army didn't know.
Parnell
The
was
sheriff
an
didn't care. The old woman in the church had warned us and sent us on our way. This was our fight, and we had until the moon rose to figure out how to win it. Cedar looked up at me from his bedroll. His face was pale. His leg was worse. Sir, he said quietly, whatever happens tonight, it's been an honor. We're not done yet, soldier. No, sir, but just in case. I nodded, because sometimes you say, The thing you need to say before you can't say it anymore. And Cedar had said his. The day
Hostile
crawled
control
by.
point
We
identified.
checked our weapons. We made more silver. We melted the chalice this time. Made 4 more rounds. It wasn't enough. It was all we had. Sage sharpened the silver blade until it could split light. Juniper sat by the window and watched the woods like they might give him an answer. They didn't. They just watched back. At 1600 hours, we ate. MREs taste like cardboard, but they give you fuel. We needed fuel. At 1700 hours, we geared up. At 1730, we left Cedar at the station with a rifle, silver rounds, and a radio he'd keep trying, even though we all knew help wasn't coming. His orders were simple. If we're not back by dawn, head for town. Tell them to burn the ridge. Tell them to burn it all. He nodded. He didn't salute. You don't salute in the field. But the way he looked at us was a salute anyway. The kind that says goodbye, in case goodbye is all that's left. We moved back up the mountain. 3 soldiers, 3 silver rounds each, 1 blade, and a plan that depended on luck and timing, and the hope that silver actually works the way the stories say. The moon was already rising, pale at first, hidden behind the ridge. But you could feel it. The air changed, got heavy, got electric. The woods went quiet again, that dead quiet, the kind where even the wind holds its breath. We reached the cave at 1845 hours. The sun was gone, the moon was climbing, and somewhere inside that darkness, Raymond Klein was waking up to the thing he'd become. Sage looked at me. Last chance to turn back, sir. I thought about Cedar's leg, about Juniper's eyes, about the 3 families torn apart, about doors ripped off hinges, and bones stacked in neat piles, and a man who'd written hungry on a wall because that was the only word he remembered how to spell. We finished this, I said. Sage nodded. Juniper checked his rifle. We moved toward the cave mouth. The moon cleared the ridge, full and bright and cold as judgment. And from inside the cave came a sound that made my blood remember. It used to belong to something that ran from predators. It was laughing. Raymond Klein was laughing. And the laugh said, I've been waiting for you.
You have
The
left the
laugh
group.
echoed out of the cave like something dying, that had decided to take its time about it. Not human, not animal. Something in between that knew it shouldn't exist, was proud of it anyway. We stood at the cave mouth, with our rifles up, and our courage somewhere behind us trying to catch up. The moonlight made everything silver and black. No gray, no middle ground. You were in the light, or you were in the dark, and the dark was where things with yellow eyes waited.
Inventory.
Formation, I whispered. Sage took left. Juniper took right. I held center. We moved in slow, red lens flashlights cutting through the black. The smell hit harder than before. Rot and musk, and something chemical like fear has when it ferments. The bones were still there. The clothes were still there. But the wall was different. More scratches, more words. They covered the stone now in jagged lines that hurt to read. Hungry, 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 over and over. Like a man trying to remember his name by writing it down, or forget it, or both at once. It's gone, Sage said. He pointed to tracks, fresh, leading deeper into the cave, into tunnels we hadn't seen before. There's more to this den. We don't follow, I said. We trap it here, in the entrance, where we have room to move. How? I thought fast. Fire. We make a choke point with fire, force it to come through the flames. The silver rounds do the rest. It wasn't a good plan, but it was a plan that used small words and could be done in the time we had. So we did it. We dragged Deadfall and brushed to the cave mouth. We made a rough semicircle. We doused it with lamp oil from our packs. Not much. Enough. We set charges with matches wrapped in oilcloth. Pull the cloth, scratch the match, run. 3 positions, 3 angles. Crossfire with silver-tipped rounds, and a prayer that physics still worked the way we'd been taught. When it comes, I started. It'll come fast, Sage finished. Aim for center mass. Keep firing until it stops moving. And if it doesn't stop, it'll stop, Juniper said. His voice was steady now. Fear had burned through him and left something harder behind. It has to stop. We're making it stop. I wished I believed him. We waited. The moon climbed higher. The cave breathed. That's the only way to describe it. The air moved in and out like lungs. From deep inside came sounds, scraping, pacing, that three-beat rhythm. And then silence. The silence was worse. It knows, Sage whispered. Knows what? That we're waiting. It's deciding if we're worth it. We killed 12 people,
Want to make a trade?
Juniper said. We're worth it. It didn't kill 12 people, I said. Raymond Klein did. Before this, before the moon took him. He killed his own family and then he became this thing. Whatever's in that cave isn't just a monster. It's his punishment. And it's still hungry, because punishment never fills you up. Sage looked at me. Where'd you get that? The old woman at the church. She said it takes a man and breaks him and puts him back together wrong. Klein was already wrong. The moon just made it honest. Before Sage could answer, the cave vomited out the thing that used to be Raymond Klein. It came fast. Faster than before. Faster than anything with that much mass should move. It hit the firelight and kept coming. We lit the barrier. The oil caught. Flames jumped 6 feet high and made the night scream orange. The thing didn't slow. It leaped. It cleared the fire like it was a line someone had drawn with chalk. And it landed in the middle of our formation with a grin that said, "Did you really think that would work?" We fired. All 3 of us. The silver rounds hit. Chest, shoulder, neck. Each impact sparked and smoked. The thing screamed. Real pain this time. It staggered, but it didn't go down. It grabbed Juniper, just reached out and grabbed him by the vest and lifted him like he weighed nothing. Juniper got his rifle up, pressed the barrel against the thing's ribs, fired, point blank, silver into meat. The thing convulsed, dropped him. Juniper hit the ground and rolled and came up firing. Sage went in with the blade. He moved like a man who'd done this before in a different life. Fast, low. He drove the silver up under the thing's armpit where the armor fur was thin. The blade sank deep. Smoke poured from the wound. The smell of burning flesh made my eyes water. The thing backhanded Sage. He flew, hit a tree, didn't get up. It was just me and Juniper now. And the thing turned to look at us with those yellow eyes that were mostly animal, but still had enough human in them to hate what they'd become. Hungry, it said. The voice was Raymond Klein's voice. I could hear it now, under the gravel and the growl. A man's voice, a father's voice, saying the only word he had left. I fired my last silver round. It took the thing in the throat. The head snapped back, blood and smoke. It went to one knee. I thought we had it. I was wrong. It lunged, not at me, at Juniper. The kid tried to dodge. Wasn't fast enough. The thing's jaws closed on his shoulder. I heard bones crack, heard Juniper scream, heard the wet sound of teeth meeting meat. I didn't think. I just moved.
Agent
I
requesting
grabbed
backup.
the silver blade from where Sage had dropped it. I ran. I drove it into the base of the thing's skull, where spine meets brain. I drove it in with both hands, and all the weight I had and every ounce of fear and rage and grief that had been building since we saw those first tracks. The thing went rigid. Its mouth opened. Juniper fell away. The thing turned its head slow and looked at me over its shoulder. The eyes flickered. Yellow to brown, brown to yellow, human to animal to human again. Thank you, it said. Raymond Klein's voice, clear, soft, like a man waking from a nightmare. Thank you. Then the eyes went yellow one last time. It collapsed, twitched, went still. I pulled the
Friendly
blade out.
combatants detected.
Smoke rose from the wound. The body began to change. Not fast, slow, like ice melting. The fur receded, the bone shifted, the muzzle shortened. Within minutes, what lay on the ground was a man, pale, scarred, naked, Raymond Klein, 52 years old, dead in a way that might finally be permanent. Sage groaned. I helped him up. He had a concussion, maybe broken ribs, but he was breathing, and that was enough. Juniper wasn't moving. His shoulder was a mess, blood everywhere. I tore my shirt, made a compress, pressed hard. He opened his eyes. Did we get it? He whispered. We got it. Good. He closed his eyes. That's good. We needed extraction. We needed it now. I ran back to the ranger station. Cedar was still there, still trying the radio. I told him to send everything. Coordinates, casualties, priority medevac. He sent it. And miracle of miracles, someone answered. Help was coming. 90 minutes out. I ran back up the mountain. Sage had dragged Juniper away from the body. We sat with him, kept pressure on the wound, kept him talking, kept him conscious. Because if he went unconscious, he might not come back. The moon was directly overhead now, full and bright and indifferent. The body lay where it had fallen. It was smaller now, almost peaceful, almost human. I thought about burning it like the old woman said. We should have. We didn't. We were too tired, too hurt, too done. That was a mistake. The helicopter came at 2 hours. They took Juniper first, Sage second. Cedar limped up on his bad leg and refused to stretch her. I stayed. I told them I'd wait for the sheriff. They didn't like it, but they left. I sat with Raymond Klein's body until dawn. I kept the silver blade in my hand, just in case. The forest was quiet, the normal quiet. Birds starting to wake, wind in the trees, the moon setting behind the ridge. When the sun finally came up, I checked the body one more time. Still dead, still human, still Raymond Klein. The sheriff arrived at 7 o'clock. He looked at the body. He looked at me. He looked at the cave with its bones, and its scratches, and its words that said, hungry, in letters carved by claws. Wildlife situation, he said. Yes, sir. You took care of it. Yes, sir. He nodded. Good. We'll say he was a vagrant. Attacked your men. You defended yourselves. Self-defense. Clean. And the families? Wild dogs. Like we always said. He met my eyes.
Friendly combatants nearby.
You understand? I understood. Some truths are too big for paperwork. Some stories don't fit in reports. And some things you just don't talk about because talking makes them real. And real is something nobody can
Invite to
afford.
another agent's
Burned
group.
the body.
Receive.
I watched. Made sure it burned down to ash. Made sure it went to the creek that ran below the bridge. The old woman had been right. You don't bury it. You don't study it. You burn it and scatter it. And hope that's enough. Juniper lost the arm.
Safe
Infection
area detected.
and damage. They tried to save it. Couldn't. He went home to Kentucky and learned to farm one-handed and never talked about what happened on that ridge. I visited him once, 5 years later. He had a wife, a daughter, a quiet life. When he saw me, his face went pale. Is it back? He asked. No, just
An
visiting.
agent has left
He
your
nodded,
group.
didn't invite me in, didn't shake my hand, just nodded and closed the door. I understood. Some people you save, some people you remind of the worst night of their lives. I was the second kind to him, so I left. Sage died at 47. Bar fight, knife to the gut. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong man to piss off. They said it was quick. I hope they were right. He deserved quick after what he'd survived. I kept the silver blade, wrapped it in cloth, buried it in my backyard. I told myself I was done with it. I was lying. Sidar made it to 52. Heart attack. Stress, they said. Too many cigarettes. Too much coffee. Too much war. At his funeral, his
You
sister
have left the group.
asked me if I knew why he used to wake up screaming. I said I didn't. She nodded like she believed me. She didn't. But sometimes a lie is a kindness. I'm 78 now. Too old for most things. not too old for memories. I live in Virginia. Small town. Quiet. I keep to myself. I don't hunt. I don't go into the woods after dark. And when the moon gets full, I lock my doors and keep a light on and tell myself it's over. But some nights I hear it. That rhythm. 3 beats. Pause. 2 beats. Coming from the woods behind my house. Coming from the hollow where the fog sits heavy. And I wonder if we got all of Raymond Klein, or if something stayed in those hills, something that learned from him, something that's still hungry. I dug up the silver blade last year, cleaned it, sharpened it. It sits in a drawer by my bed now, just in case. Because the old woman was right about one thing. There's things in these mountains older than coal, older than trees. And most times, they sleep. But not always. Last month, a sheriff from Braxton County called me. Said they'd found 3 families dead on the ridge, torn apart. Doors ripped off hinges. Tracks that started on 4 legs and ended on 2. Said it looked like wild dogs. But his voice said he didn't believe it. I told him I couldn't help. I'm too old. Too slow. Too done with things that don't exist until they're killing you. He thanked me. Hung up. I sat with the phone in my hand and stared at the blade in the drawer. 3 families, just like before. The pattern repeating. The moon getting fat. The hills remembering how to be hungry. I haven't decided yet. If I'll go. If I'll take the blade. If I'll try to stop something that might be unstoppable. But I think about Juniper's missing arm. About Sage's quick death that maybe wasn't mercy. About Cedar's screaming nights. About the price we paid to stop one monster in one hollow in one October in 1943. And I think about the price if nobody stops this one. The moon's 3 days from full. I can feel it. In my bones. In my bad knee. In the scar on my ribs, where Raymond Klein's claw came close to opening me up. I can feel it the way you feel a storm coming. The way you feel eyes on your back. The way you feel the world getting ready to break. So maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll take the blade and drive back to Braxton County and walk up that ridge one more time. Maybe I'll stop whatever's killing families under the full moon. Maybe I'll die trying. Or maybe I'll just sit here. Keep my doors locked. Keep my light on. Keep telling myself it's someone else's problem now. But that sound, that 3-beat rhythm, it's getting closer. Every full moon, a little closer. And I wonder if running made me safe, or if I just led it to better hunting grounds. So that's my story. That's what happened in October 1943 on a ridge in Braxton County. We stopped Raymond Klein. We used silver and fire and desperation. We lost good men doing it, and we learned something the Army doesn't teach. Some enemies don't die when you kill them. They just wait. They evolve. They come back. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more stories about the things that don't belong in history books. Comment where you're from and whether you believe me. I don't need you to believe me, but I need you to be careful when the moon gets full. I need you to lock your doors. I need you to remember that silver still works even if you don't believe in what it's supposed to stop. And if you're ever in Braxton County in October, and you hear something moving through the woods in a 3-beat rhythm, don't go looking for it. Don't try to explain it. Just go home. Lock up. Turn on the lights. And pray it's not hungry. Because hungry is the only word they remember. And remembering makes them worse. The moon's rising again. I can see it through my window. Fat. Yellow. 2 more nights until it's full. I'm going to make coffee. I'm going to sit with my blade. And I'm going to decide if I'm too old to fight monsters, or if you're never too old to finish what you started. Maybe I'll see you on that ridge. Maybe I won't. Either way, stay safe out there. The hills are old, and some things in them are older. Thanks for watching. See you next time, if there is a next time. support, like, and subscribe. Let me know where you're watching from, and you can support the channel with a super thanks or by joining. In the fall of 2019, a routine search and rescue operation was launched in Olympic National Park in Washington State. Ranger Elias Moore, a 22-year veteran of Park Services, had not reported in for 3 consecutive days. His last radio communication indicated unusual activity in Sector 7, near the Bogachiel drainage, one of the most remote and densely forested areas in the United States. A 5-person military team was dispatched from Joint Base Lewis McChord to locate and rescue Moore. The team was led by Lieutenant Cole Harper, an experienced officer who had been on numerous missions. Entering the Hoh rainforest on October 14th, the team expected a simple rescue mission. They did not find what they expected. What follows is Lieutenant Harper's account of what happened during those 72 hours in the oldest temperate rainforest in North America. Some details have been withheld at the request of military officials. The official report lists 1 soldier as killed in action by wildlife, 1 ranger deceased from natural causes, and the mission as completed. The unofficial truth is something else entirely. The Hoh rainforest covers over 100 square miles of primeval wilderness. Annual rainfall exceeds 140 inches. Some trees have stood for over 1,000 years. The forest floor receives less than 3% of available sunlight. Entire valleys have never been fully mapped. Every year, hikers enter these woods and are never seen again. The Park Service attributes these disappearances to accidents, exposure, and the unforgiving terrain. Lieutenant Harper has a different explanation. This is his story. My name's Harper, Lieutenant Cole Harper. I was a soldier then, leading a 5-man search team into the Olympic National Park in the fall of 2019. We were sent to find a ranger who'd gone missing 3 days prior. Simple recovery op, they said. Walk in, find him, or find what's left, walk out. But there was something in that forest, something that didn't want us there, something that watched from the moss and the mist and moved when we moved and stopped when we stopped. We found more than a missing man in those woods. We found out why some people never come back. The briefing room at Joint Base Lewis McChord smelled like burnt coffee and old paper. Captain Torres stood at the front, tapping a laser pointer against a topographic map that looked like someone had crumpled green paper and tried to flatten it back out. The Hoh rainforest. I'd
You
heard
have
of it.
received an invite to another
Wettest
agent's
place in the continental United States. 300
Tiene
inches of rain
cuidado.
a year in some spots. Trees so big and old they made you feel like an insect
Got a visual
crawling
on
through
additional
grass.
hostiles in the memorial
Ranger
compound.
Elias
They're
Moore,
moving south.
Torres said,
There's a
clicking
gate
to a
between
photo
you.
of a man in
It
his
looks closed from
mid-40s.
here.